next presenter is Deena Frankel, diving into the layer cake, Chittenden County, from the bedrock up.
Hi, folks. So Charlie took us to some old music and an old city, and I'm going to take us back 450 million years. Okay, thanks. So when I first moved here in 1995, I spent a lot of time, and since then, in the wilds of Vermont. But the pandemic transformed my relationship with the woods and the water, and I'm going to tell you about a critical piece of that transformation, the Vermont Master Naturalist program. In the early part of the pandemic, really in the first 2 years, is that the early part, my solace was to find places to walk that I had never been before. I used all trails and the atlases and the town websites. And then a walking friend of mine said, why don't you go a little deeper and apply to this Vermont Master Naturalist program? Well, I didn't think I would be accepted to this. I had a lot of passion, but no experience, no qualifications. I was thinking this was smoke and mirrors when I applied. I had this one thing I had done that seemed relevant. I had edited and laid out this book about Native Americans in the Champlain lowlands a few years ago, but it was really about my passion. And to my surprise, I got accepted. So I was drawn to this program because it was different from academic natural science with its silos like botany and geology and ornithology. This was about connections. The executive director, Alicia Daniels, calls it the layer cake approach. So the Vermont Master Naturalist started back in 2016. There are 9 programs around the state now that have either graduated students or are going on. And each one is very place-based, very specific to its community. My class of 18 people had a lot of age diversity, recent college graduates to retirees. Half of us had studied natural science, half of us were lifelong learners like me, and a third of us were teachers now. And one of my classmates said what I think, I found my peeps. Our teacher, Alicia Daniel, led our field days supported by experts in the relevant disciplines, and it was very hands-on, learning things like plant keying, tree ID. We were learning to read the landscape. In 5 days out in the field, we visited these special places around Burlington. I had been to them all, but I really didn't know them. Rock Point, Star Farm, Ethan Allen Park, Ethan Allen Homestead, and the town of Winooski. And we each also chose a project, a conservation or education project to volunteer. There were 2 books that rocked my world during this year. I read that Tom Wessel's book 3 times, and each time my ability to read the landscape and decode the story of place has increased. And that this woodland, wetland, wildland is like the Rosetta Stone of our natural environment. Each session, I was startled by some pattern that I saw emerging, like the day that we walked along the Champlain Thrust Fault. And I realized how many times I had seen this and not understood that the old rocks were under the new rocks, and that was how the Champlain, how the Green Mountains had been built. I didn't really understand the concept of natural environments until I saw those on the bluffs above the beach, how these specific plants and these specific stones were of this place. I probably never noticed the green spots on these aspen leaves, and now I know that a leaf mining insect recruits a bacterium to block the death of those leaves so it can keep on eating. Now, isn't nature crazy? Have you seen skunk cabbage come up first out of the snow in the wintertime? The skunk cabbage flower produces enough heat to raise the temperature around it by up to 35 degrees, bringing the pollinators, the first pollinators in. Holy thermogenesis, Batman. On my many pandemic walks, I stumbled on old cemeteries, cellar holes, wells, farm implements, and now I understand how all the Vermont landscape has been reshaped by human hands over time, and I better how to read these places. The projects and collaborations by Vermont master naturalists are really far-reaching in their impacts. For example, a collaboration at Champlain Elementary School is supporting a wildlife corridor, native plant nursery, and other environmental projects. High-impact conservation projects are happening throughout the footprint of Vermont Master Naturalist, from hands-on invasive species mitigation to fostering native plants and pollinators, and dozens of field walks open to the public are increasing our public awareness of these wild places and what they mean to us. It isn't enough to just conserve land. Many animals need large, contiguous corridors for their survival. In several places, including in Burlington, master naturalists are working with local groups using the Vermont Natural Resources Atlas to move from parcels to contiguous corridors. And in some places, master naturalists are changing the way we do planning, like this example in Montpelier, where graduates been central to the creation of a new master plan for this Blanchard Park. I think I used to walk through the land, and now when I walk in the woods, I feel as if I am being there rather than passing through. I see the pieces, the patterns, and the processes emerge like words on a page. I will carry this new way of seeing through the rest of my life. Thank you.